Hi, welcome to the show. Well, today we're going to talk pot. Yeah, we're going to talk about cannabis, and I have with me the owner or one of the management of New Leaf Midtown Dispensary, Diana Deissler. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that use pot, they know about it, but there's a lot of people that don't. And they're kind of looking around wondering, what's going on? So I kind of wanted to talk to you for those folks, and then also the people that are familiar might want to come check out New Leaf because they've gotten to know you a little better. So tell me a little bit about, tell me about New Leaf.
So we started in business about 2015, I think, as a medical dispensary at the edge of town. And some things happened. We've had to move around a little bit. And so now we find ourselves more in the middle of town and nice and cozy in our spot now. We get a lot of daylight in there. It's a wonderful location with a good parking lot. And we're all family run and oriented. The owners are Greg and Laura Bogue, and their kids run it. Lauren, her husband Chima, their son Jared, and myself. I'm the brand manager. Jared does intake. Lauren does more of the employee benefit stuff and the licensing stuff, scheduling, and Chima helps with intake. So we all play a part.
What does Greg do?
Oh, Greg is the he
signs the checks?
he holds the door up. I don't know.
Okay.
He's super helpful for helping us with anything around the shop that we need, whether it's like helping with, like, if it's just super busy in there, he'll help talk to people and make them feel comfortable. He goes to me with me to the Chamber of Commerce meetings in the morning. So he likes to be involved very much so and chats with our customers all the time.
Well, it sounds like you have a steady group of people that are running there. It's not, you don't meet somebody new every time you go in.
No, we like to keep it comfortable.
Yeah. And how did you come to this?
I met Jared, the intake manager, when I was working in California. We were both artists by trade, I guess. And so his dad started his medical grow and wanted to get involved and asked if they would help me or help them because I'm a graphic designer. And so I found myself up here, which actually was a wonderful move from California, even though I liked it there. I'm actually from Pennsylvania, so Oregon's not very different than Pennsylvania, so it's nice. And so we all just have our own kind of roles we play, and I wear a couple different hats around there and find myself working at the front desk and bud tending now as well, just doing graphic design.
Bud tending, meaning on the farm?
No, bud tending is like I'll go out on the floor and help people find the products they're looking for.
All right.
So if they come in and they're totally clueless, like somebody told me about CBD oil, I'll be like, I know just what you mean. And we go over and I'll show them the tinctures, some other products that have CBD in them, and just kind of find out what it is they're looking for and looking to fix, basically. Because a lot of times they don't even know what they're looking for. And it's our job kind of to help guide them. And we just do that based on our own experience, our feedback from other customers and what they've felt. So it's all kind of just, we just care about people and trying to find them what they need. So.
Well, I'm hearing there's a lot of different kinds of customers, but in some one way there's two kinds. People that are familiar with cannabis, maybe they used it before it was legal, and now they're just great that they can go.
We try to educate those people because sometimes...
Because they were in the dark. They were kind of in this black market that was underground.
Yeah, the black market didn't have as much info as we have now.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they come in, are just initially after high THC, which is the euphoric side of cannabis, where it'll get you high. And we've been trying to help people realize that terpenes also play a significant role in that. And terpenes are the aromatic oil side of cannabis. So like if you think of essential oils like lavender and you would diffuse that oil, terpenes are essentially that from cannabis. And that can vary from plant to plant to plant and can change the high as well. And so sometimes people come in and they think they're looking for one thing, but we can actually help them find something that might suit them a little bit better based on kind of what they're looking for, what they like, what we think they might like. And it's just kind of an exploratory thing that we like to do where people can see like, oh, there is actually more to this. And, oh, maybe this is nice to have a strain with CBD in it, too. That feels good, and that's helpful.
So CBDs are terpene? Is that the same thing?
No, so there's cannabinoids. THC and CBD are the main cannabinoids. There's a bunch of other ones too that play significant roles.
Okay.
Terpenes are another aspect of all of that, and together they create an entourage effect. So it's an overall different kind of high. You can feel it in a more euphoric way throughout your body if you have certain terpenes that are higher than others. Certain terpenes can make things more sedating. So an indica would be high in something called myrcene, whereas a sativa would be higher in maybe like limonene or something else that is just on a different end of the spectrum. So there's just so much to it that
Wow.
we try
you
to just
threw a lot
dip
of
people's
terminology
toes
there.
into it. Yeah. So
So there's a lot to learn.
yeah, and we try to provide like info and visuals and walk people through it so it's not too overwhelming.
Well, then so even people that are maybe experienced cannabis users walking in have a lot to learn. But then there's other people that are coming in for a reason. They have pain, they've bumped into some sort of limit with the painkillers that they've been taking. They've heard
Right.
that they might find some relief, and pain drives us to try things.
Yes, very
And
much so.
people are coming in the door kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing
It's
here,
nice because
but I hurt.
Yeah, they're coming in open-minded, which is a nice
Yeah.
kind of blank slate for us to kind of be like, okay, well, let's just start at the beginning, and we kind of just put out all the options so that they don't feel uncomfortable about having to take it one way or another. They can kind of find that comfort zone of like, well, maybe just a little tincture spritz under my tongue is something I can start with. It's discreet, and I don't have to
I'm
feel.
not smoking with a bong.
Right,
I mean,
exactly. Whereas there are some people that are coming in looking for that, and they're
Yeah.
like, just give me the best thing for that. And we're like, we'll point you right to it. So we really like to kind of see where they're at, what they're after, and then if we can kind of introduce them to something they don't even know about, that might be helpful too. So there's a lot to choose from.
So someone comes in and say they're in cancer treatment, and their chemotherapy has got them really, I don't know, what kinds of complaints do people come with from chemo?
Some people come in needing to have an appetite stimulant.
Okay.
That can be helpful for some people. And sometimes people just need something to help them get through the day just because it's hard and it's depressing and they just kind of want to feel better. And, there's
So the anxiety of is having cancer and having this treatment, and they're
just in general, it's
seeing the
hard.
body changing. So the cannabis offers relief from anxiety?
Yeah, and depression, and can just kind of help people. Cannabis helps people internalize and kind of evaluate their emotions, which is healthy to move past certain things and deal with things. And it can also be really helpful for people with PTSD. CBD is great at calming down fear response. So things like that we like to try to help people realize is available, and that you don't have to be ashamed to look for it or try it, and that it's completely natural. It comes right from the earth. The ancients have been using cannabis as medicine for thousands of years. So it's all about helping drop the stigma that it's something bad. Like DARE did a number on my generation, the DARE program. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I don't know what it was like over here, but I didn't try cannabis until the end of high school, and that it didn't work, so I gave up on it. And so I tried it again in college. Didn't really need it then either. And then it wasn't until a couple years after that I actually found that it was something that was helpful for myself, for anxiety and certain things, and pain. I had knee surgery, so it was helpful for joint pain and stuff like that. So everybody's got something they could use it for, probably.
Now, dispensaries opened up when? You said 2015, was that?
I think that's when we started, just about.
How have things changed? As you've seen the market and, yeah.
Unfortunately, the medicinal side of it wasn't supposed to be affected so much when the recreational side of things got legalized, but unfortunately we've seen a significant decline in people using it with the medical card itself. I think that people do still use it medicinally for sure. It's just that the costs and all the different pricing and stuff has been confusing for people, and the certain things available for some and not for others has just made it more complicated. And not everybody has the money to go find a doctor that's going to sign off on a medical card for them. So there's just been a lot of uncertainty in terms of how people are using it, and then kind of limiting the access for people who were using it medicinally. But at the same time, it's helped us kind of like, so the like testing has changed significantly. Like it's very strict on testing. Cannabis is probably cleaner than most food and wine because of how stringent the testing standards are. But there's also like uncertainties in there too, because you'll get like limitations on like the terpene profile that people have to pay extra for, or certain labs will have a skew of their percentages in one direction, and it's not super reliable at the moment. So it's gone through like a lot of ebb and flow in terms of just sorting out, I think, what works for everybody. And so I think we're still in this like time period of figuring things out and innovating and coming up with new things. And a lot of people have changed and learned growing methods so that they don't have to worry about like certain things in their soil or coming up with in their results as because if you were to be off by a little bit in terms of like any residue from anything and you fail your test,
pesticides or something like that.
Yeah, and most people will use close to as natural as they can, and a lot of people have developed new stuff too. But like if it doesn't pass, you have to destroy your entire crop, and so that's a pretty significant thing for just a small business person trying to like make it in the market. So, there's been innovation, I think, in terms of like how to grow, which I think would be beneficial for a lot of other industries probably eventually too. Let's see, I don't know. There's been a hard push for a lot of high THC things instead of giving better access to high CBD. It's actually harder for us to get CBD items in an OLCC licensed store because now a hemp producer has to have a special endorsement to be able to sell in an OLCC dispensary, and we're not finding that a lot of hemp producers we're in this like weird limbo right now because of it being now that hemp bill was in play and everything. It's kind of muddied the waters on what's allowed and what's not.
The national hemp bill, where hemp was it was legal to grow hemp.
Yeah, and it kind of it puts it back on like the FDA as being like kind of able to regulate like consumable versions of CBD and stuff. Only like I'm pretty sure somebody from the FDA just recently stepped down who was supposed to figure that stuff out. So like we're in this like limbo of like trying to figure out how to deal with it. But CBD is like toothpaste. You can't put it back. And now that people have discovered it and how helpful it is, and that the U.S. has had a patent on it for a number of years, people are saying, look, well, I need more access to this. I need to be able to afford it. And there's a lot of people ready to just go and produce things and make new products, and there's tons of things that can be done with hemp, and so it's just the beginning.
So hemp is a strain of marijuana that has low THC.
Yeah, hemp and cannabis are the same thing. It's just a difference in THC percentage.
But it does have the CBD oil in it, and that So someone comes in and they say, "Look, I don't want to get high." That's not what I'm here for.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. Just so you know.
Which is perfectly okay.
Because somehow there's a stigma about getting high. I get high on Avenger movies. I just think those are the greatest.
Yeah.
So I guess we all have kind of our choice on what takes us out of reality. I don't drink alcohol to get high. I drink alcohol because my wife likes to have some wine with dinner, and so I go along with it.
It's a nice social lubricant.
Yeah, and it's interesting. There's all these different flavors. So, but I guess I do some things to distract myself from reality, like I said. So people come. There's a stigma with that, though. And have you seen that?
Some people have been worried about, like, is this going to make me too lazy? Or I don't want to be too lazy or too sleepy. And, a lot of this cannabis stuff is putting our own healthcare back into our own hands. It's helping us be a little bit more sovereign over that kind of thing when we feel like maybe the pharma side of things has failed us. And so I think it really is more dependent on the person and what they're using it for. And so there's some people that are going to abuse it because they're going to abuse probably something else too, like whether that's cheeseburgers or cannabis, you can abuse either one. And it's like
Just the way it is.
it's
It
just
happens.
yeah. I mean, it's no really different than coming home and having a glass of wine at night, because there's plenty of people that they come in and they're exhausted, and you can tell they just worked a really long, hard day, and that one joint when they go home is gonna like chill them out and just set them right for a good night's sleep. Cannabis, like I said, kind of helps you internalize what's going on, and by processing your day can oftentimes lead to a more restful sleep, because otherwise if you don't process your emotions, that's kind of what happens when you're sleeping and dreaming, and cannabis can kind of help work through some of those things for some people. And so there's that side, and then there's other, the flip side of that is we'll get like working moms or work from home moms that come in and like they need to clean the house and watch the kids, but they're going to do it responsibly, but they're going to do it because they have just a little bit extra, like, it's like relief feeling of like, I can ease through this now and not be so like wigged out about how much is in my day. I can take it in stride if I have a little bit of that like edge off. And sometimes that's just CBD. Sometimes that's a little bit of THC in with your CBD. It's different for each person. And what's cool is watching people figure that out for themselves and like what works for them, and kind of seeing their options that they now have available. Because like I said, I didn't really smoke when I was younger. And a lot of that was because there was not really safe access to cannabis, especially in Pennsylvania. And for a girl, like going out to find cannabis is kind of a risky thing unless you like know the right people. And so having a good atmosphere for us to have women come in like freely and not be embarrassed or feel like they're in danger or anything, like it's not shady. It's just like, this is how I'm going to help get through my day because it helps chills me out. And it's that cup of coffee in the morning that some people need to set their day right. Some people, find that just setting their day right by chilling out for a sec and collecting and whatever can be helpful. So
that's something I hadn't thought of, just the safety of having it not be a black market illegal substance. And also the fact that it is tested, what you're getting, you know what's in this bag. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, the high standards are a comfort for me anyway. What we like to do at our store is source with intention. So we like to, like Jared will sit down with the farmers from different vendors that will come in that we sell their flower or other products, and he'll chat with them, kind of find out what's going on with their business, what's behind their drive for what they're doing, and why they're dealing with all the hardships we have to deal with in the first place, like what makes it worth it for them, and all that stuff. And if their heart's in the right place, and same with ours, usually when that aligns, we'll carry their product, and then it's easy for us to sell because it just kind of sells itself. There's a lot of like things out there that are kind of on the trendy side, like adding flavorings to your vaporizer cartridges for your pens is kind of like a thing a lot of people do. But we have in our family like a lot of food allergies, and Jared has an autoimmune condition, and so these sorts of things we like to take into account, and so we don't really know the effects of those kinds of things on our lungs or on our health in general. So we like to stay as true to the plant as we can, because to us that just seems like the most sense, because it's as healthy as it could be. And that kind of like falls into our concentrates that we're pushing now towards our solventless. So they're not made with solvents, meaning like when the cannabis is extracted into an oil, like a concentrated oil, there's different processes that do that, and some of them involve chemicals, and some of them can be dangerous. But by doing a solventless process, it's much more of that old world style of how they used to do it like hundreds of years ago, and it allows for the best retention of, like on cannabis plants, there's these little juice balls, basically called trichomes, that contain the THC and the terpenes, and when you press that, it's like the most direct, clean access to that stuff. And so some people choose to smoke it that way, and it's kind of like a classic way that some people might remember, like a hash kind of thing. And so there's just all sorts of new ways and things that we like to introduce people to, so that they're not totally just getting swept up in the commerciality of it all, and they're like, oh, this is actually like cool that they're putting this much effort into this being this clean, and that sort of thing. So people
So
are
you're kind of there to maybe warn people about trendy stuff that
Yeah,
that
well-
isn't really checked out yet.
we just don't have a ton of info, and we wouldn't really sell anything that we're not comfortable consuming ourselves.
Yeah.
And so like for this, the whole CBD thing is definitely becoming trendy, and what's important for people to realize is that like when you're not buying it from a dispensary, you're not getting the same level of verification that it is what it is, because there's probably quite a few horror stories you can find online of people buying CBD and it's either just a big jar of olive oil or like they ended up getting sick from it and they don't know what it was, or there's things like that happen, and that's one thing to worry about. The other thing is that cannabis and hemp plants, I forget what it's called, but it's the type of plant where it can actually extract toxins out of the soil. And so if you're purchasing a CBD product from who knows where, you don't know where it was grown, you don't know what kind of soil it was grown in, you don't know what kind of toxins it might have pulled out of there, and then those things get translated to the oil. And so there's a lot of new stuff out there and not a lot of like info. So we just like to provide as much info as we can that we know and that would be in our own best interest. We're just trying to put out there like an open source sort of version of cannabis info where everybody should have access to this stuff. And the more we can educate each other, the better decisions we can all make about it. So
Great. Well, you brought some slides with you today. Caroline, can you show what we've got here? So this is you designed that, didn't you?
I did, yes. I am actually the brand manager and in-house graphic designer. So oftentimes when we need something in store, whether it's just like a little sign to help people realize what it is they're even looking at, that's kind of what I'll be doing, usually up at the front desk because I help check people in too.
Now, this is a silly question. I count 11 leaves on that. Did they all have 11 leaves?
No, that's actually a special leaf. That leaf comes from the Acapulco gold plant, which is one of Greg's mainstays of like wonder. It's a wonderful old school strain, and he actually grew it from his uncle's seed that he got in like 1979 or something like that. So it's like this really old seed that he managed to grow like a couple years ago. And I just thought that leaf was so cool looking, and I had never seen one so big. And then that hex shape behind it is, if you look at it's like what the symbol for a THC molecule is a hex.
Bonding
hexagram.
between molecules.
Yeah, so
All right.
little of that.
Very nice.
That's our big fancy sign.
Oh, and with the Acapulco Gold. Now, wasn't there a song, Acapulco Gold, in the 60s?
Yeah.
So I did not know that was where that was coming from.
Yep, that's the interior of the store. We try to make it comfortable and homey, and dispel that myth of a dispensary having to be like a dark, shady atmosphere. We want to make it comfy and easily accessible info. That right there is one of the display cases for our flower, and in front of each jar is a little display card that has info about what you might expect to feel, the aromatics about the flower, the test results in terms of like THC, CBD, and if it has terpenes, we provide that info. There's informational little...
That's a lot of varieties.
There's quite a bit. And not too much, though, because we already have people that are having a hard time
I would guess.
deciding, so some of that flower that's in there is from our own farm now called Harem Premium Cannabis. And
is that nearby?
It is. It's grown here in McMinnville. And that is also somebody in the family is working for us there. Greg's nephew is one of our growers.
Long cured for a smooth finish. What is long cured?
So long curing, basically cannabis, the leaf part of it that you're smoking has chlorophyll in it. And if it has too much chlorophyll, it can be harsh. And a lot of people will sometimes complain about like, oh, I don't want to be harshed out. It's not that you're getting harshed out from like it being bad weed necessarily. It's just that they didn't cure it, and curing it can be like storing it for a period of time and then offsetting the gas from the jar or whatever it's being stored in. And by burping that jar of gas, you're letting out that chlorophyll and that harshness. And so then you get like a smoother, nice finish.
All right.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like right there. And this is just some of our fun apparel stuff that I've made. We've got stickers, lanyards, lighters, stash jars.
So that pile there looks kind of like granola.
It does kind of look like granola. If you looked up closer to it, it would look more like hops.
Oh.
But it can look very different. It can be really dense and like tightly packed, like little nuggets in small little nuggets. It could be big, fluffy, chunky ones. It's so different and interesting that.
And those shapes are growing on the marijuana plant. You pull them off.
Yeah, they're
and,
trimmed and dried and.
And then where does it go from there? You would smoke that stuff directly?
Yep, right from there. You just crack off a little piece of it, and you can either put it in your bowl, you can grind it up and put it in a bowl or pipe, or you can roll it up into a joint and smoke it, or pre-roll, as we call it.
Or somebody would press it for oil.
Or then you could press it for oil, yeah.
And there's 5 other things you could do with it.
Yeah, and then from there, yeah, you could do all sorts of things. Yeah, it's a very versatile plant.
All right, here's a list. Can allow for more creativity. Tell me about that.
I'm an artist, and I find it helpful for concentration because sometimes
I would thought it would be the opposite.
Well,
You would kind of wander. But that's my ignorance.
Well, no, not necessarily. Some people, everybody's different, really.
Okay.
And so for some people, certain things can be helpful for some ways. And for me, sometimes I need to slow my brain down a little.
So you're jumping around because you're kind of hyper, and this kind of mellows you out, and then you can kind of stay in one place.
And then I can actually focus. Yeah.
Okay.
But then it's also just, it just kind of helps open those neural pathways to, get you to like kind of more of like a meditative state. And so a good example of that is like a couple Christmases ago, we had a work party or Christmas party, was a paint party. And I was probably like the only one that's ever done painting. Like I went to college for that and stuff. And but so I was excited and fine about it. But everybody else was like, oh, I've never done this before. I don't know if I'll be any good. So we all got high first. And then we went and we did our paint party. And, at first everybody was like, I'm not so sure about this. We got our instructions and we got set up and started going. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's quiet in here. And it was because everybody was like really engaged. And they were just like going at it, painting and having a good meditative time at it. And
not judging it, maybe.
Yeah, they weren't thinking too much. They were just enjoying the process of actually just letting go and painting.
Not a lot of distracting thoughts coming in.
Yeah, so it was cool for me to watch because I was like, oh, cool. Like, you guys are understanding what I like to do when I do art. So, I don't know. I like it for helping with that.
Carol, let's go back to that slide. Great. Can promote better sleep. This is a big deal for a lot of people. And how to get to sleep. There's prescriptions for getting to sleep that eventually can back up on you.
Yeah. There's some scary things about like Ambien and stuff.
Okay.
Weird effects with that. So, cannabis can be, so if you don't want to get high and you want to do the CBD route, that is even helpful for sleeping alone too, because some people might not feel a sedative effect from it, but generally as soon as your head hits the pillow, your mind isn't going to be in a racing state, so you're able to like fall into that REM a little bit better and easier with just the CBD. If you add the THC, that's when you get kind of the indica side of the spectrum. And we tell people, so there's indica and sativas, and then a hybrid of the two usually. Indica couch. So generally if you smoke an indica or eat an indica, you're going to be pretty relaxed after that, and you're going to kind of want to just get comfy. And so it's helpful for people that just can't shut their brain off and who might have some pain. So it helps with that.
Great. All right, back to that slide. Okay. Helps relieve stress and fear from PTSD.
Yeah,
wow.
that was that CBD I was talking about earlier. The CBD itself, I'm not quite positive the science behind it, but I've definitely read before that fear specifically has to do with like your amygdala and all that stuff. It helps calm and like dissipate fear that could be from trauma, could be from unknown trauma that you're not even realizing, and just helps that not be an issue anymore.
I noticed in some of your advertising that you give a discount to veterans.
We do.
Imagine you have veterans coming in looking.
We do
for-
have quite a few veterans, and we also started a veteran like pay it forward board. So anybody can come in and donate to it. So generally, we'll take like $5 bills because we have a lot of $5 grams. You can buy a gram of cannabis, like a certain couple of strains, for $5, and so we pin it to the board, and it's literally like somebody hands me a $5, and it just goes right to the board, and then somebody comes in. Maybe they're like on a fixed income, but they're having a really stressful, like hard time, and they're a veteran, and they're like, I just really need like a gram or something, and we can pitch in $5 towards their order or something like that, just because it's literally the community thanking them for their service and paying it forward. And then we also have more vets that contribute to their brothers and sisters, and it's really heartwarming just to be like, like they just see it and they just want to contribute to it, and it's nice that people care about each other.
Well, Diana, I lost track of time.
Oh.
We're out of time.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. Well, it's been great having you on the show.
Thank you
Thanks
for
so much
having
for
me.
coming. I've learned a lot.
Good, I'm glad. Thank you.